Alright, so the final film in Jeremy Saulnier's trilogy of movies is Green Room. If you haven't seen my past two videos on the first and second movies of the trilogy, Murder Party and Blue Ruin respectively, basically with this series of videos, I'm going through one of my favorite and I think personally one of the most underrated trilogy of films of all time from one of the most underrated directors of our age, basically, Jeremy Saulnier. So as the trilogy goes on, it seems to feel like they get darker and darker and more gritty as each film progresses, this one being the absolute pinnacle of that. This is probably his most well-known film out of the series. It stars Patrick Stewart, who's, big famous these days, as well as a very underrated Anton Yelchin, rest in peace. Macon Blair also makes an appearance, as usual, in Jeremy Saulnier's movies. So the plot follows this hard rock, metal, screamo type hard rock band who is really in the middle of a struggle. They're going on a tour, but they're having trouble trying to get gigs, and they're trying to keep their van going. They have to siphon gas. They have to do all these things just to keep going to gig, trying to break through, basically, trying to get famous, trying to make money doing the thing they love. They end up getting a gig after meeting a radio host at this Nazi party house, which is not exactly what they wanted, but, beggars can't be choosers is kind of a theme in this, actually. So they finish their gig there. It goes okay. It doesn't go great. It doesn't go, they don't get murdered, so it went okay. But when they go to the back of the green room, where all their stuff is, they accidentally see a murder that took place there, which they were not supposed to see. So the leader of this Nazi organization has to clean up their murder, and also he doesn't trust the band members to keep their mouth shut, so he holds them prisoner. And now the band has to find a way to escape this situation from all these skinhead Nazis. It's a fantastic plot for a movie like this. This movie is fantastic. I love this movie a lot. It's amazing. The aesthetic of this movie really backs up the grittiness and the gross kind of mucky feel it gives you. This movie kind of makes you need to take a shower after you see it, and the aesthetic, it has this kind of green tint over it all the time. It looks really dirty, nothing's clean in it. It just really helps it a long way establishing that grimy, gross feeling. It's gross, it's gory, it's hard to watch at times, it's depressing, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth half the time. It's all, I don't want to call it misery porn, because it's better than that, but there's a lot of miserable aspects to it, if you know what I mean. I've seen this movie about 3 times. I show it to all my friends every time I scroll by it on Netflix. It's a definite watch for anyone that's interested in this at all. The performances here are a big highlight. Most of the performances in Jeremy Saulnier's movies are big highlights, like Macon Blair and Blue Ruin's fantastic, and all the wacky characters in Murder Party are all played really well by kind of unknowns. And so he really knows what to do with actors, especially with an experienced actor like Patrick Stewart. He is used to his best capabilities, and same with Anton Yelchin, who absolutely kills it in this role. He is by far the best part. He outshines everyone in it. He is so good. I'm so sad that he is gone. Rest in peace, for real. I would have loved to see him in so many more things. Like I mentioned earlier, Macon Blair is in this one like he's in everyone. And I just wanted to take a quick little break here to mention Macon Blair's actual directorial debut, which is a Netflix original, actually. It's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's up there with these 3 movies to be, like, it's fantastic. All of these, I kind of group them together. I include that one in the group, kind of. I might do a review on that one too, but it's fantastic. Go watch it. It's hilarious. Also, very well done violence. So, just side note there. Another thing this movie does really well, which I mentioned a few times, is the actual violence. Like, usually, the Hollywood sense of violence is kind of like this Mission Impossible, cool, like, slick kind of action scenes with, like, cool choreography and good stunts, like, Fast and Furious shit. Like, that's violence to a lot of people. This movie is violent. It is not afraid to show you all the gross details. It shows you how unclean it is, how gross it really is to see someone actually die like this. There's sudden deaths out of nowhere. There's people getting mauled by dogs. You have no idea. Like, the shit you see in this movie is actually disgusting at this point. But that's what I really like about it. It lends to that grimy feel. It's not perfect. It's such a, like, it's like a realistic movie about this really dark, gross scenario.
They're coming.
It's amazing. I think the violence really adds something to this. A good example of this is kind of early on. Shit starts hitting the fan, and a character puts his hand out of the door. I won't tell you who, but he puts his hand out of the door to, I think, try to grab a gun or something like that. And then his hand gets pulled back. And it's a very well executed scene, by the way, because there's a girl looking under the door to see if there's any footprints there, or see if there's any feet in like the little door crack. And then she doesn't see anyone until the door's to a certain point. But by that point, his arm's already out of the door, and he gets pulled out. And then he finally, like, he wrestles with the guy for about 10 seconds, and he's, like, screaming and stuff in pain. And you hear slices, and you have no idea what's going on. And then he pulls his arm back out, and his arm's, like, in pieces. His wrist's, like, hanging off. And it's, like, this grossest-looking thing. He's, like, in total shock. It's horribly brutal. And that is amazing about it. I absolutely love this movie. It's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it again tonight, probably, just to relive the madness of it. Go watch it right now. 9 out of 10, baby. Easy money.